All right, yeah, I think we are. All right, I think we're currently live right now. It's 9:49 here in Chicago. It's still early. I'm just testing the stuff first. So I do this like quarterly. Every single time I forget how to set this up. So bear with me right now. Um, if you go, I think if you have access to, I think the link you can also view via Hangouts, Google Hangouts. But on the bottom of the YouTube link that I've supplied, um, you can in fact post your questions on the bottom. Eventually, when I get this all cleared up, we'll have this straightened out. There we go. Uh, Eventually, when I get, let me turn that off. Okay, so the broadcast is going on right now, but don't worry, we're still about 10 minutes early. Robert's still not here, but I'll get started even if he's running a bit late. And yeah, Mike, thank you for posting some comments. I do see it. Let me just set up some other stuff. we still got about 5 minutes. I will start on time, regardless of how many people are viewing or not. Also, if you start having questions, you can start posting them now already. And remember, this the live stream doesn't matter what level you are, whether you want to ask some more advanced stuff, things I haven't even covered yet, anything on the curriculum, anything regarding to Wing Chun and so forth, we can cover that. So you can start posting those now. Hey, Robert's here. He looks hungover. Look at this guy with his Go Cubs hat. Why don't you pick a good team? Oh wait, I forgot what year we are.
19 or 2003.
So we got 5 minutes. Everyone chill. What is that? This is live, but I was like, why did you come over? He's like, oh man, I still got jet lag. I'm like, it's been like 2 weeks.
Was he at class on Thursday?
No.
He started work this week, last week.
You started work? By the way, we're live.
We're caution for some reason?
Don't give away Ryan's deep dark secret.
No one answered my question yesterday. What's his average time?
What's 0 with no start? So some of you are on right now. Can you actually hear and see me? I'm looking at my microphone, broadcast is on. Please post on the comments. Are you in the comments? Because Rap said you can't hear or see me. I'm not sure why.
Maybe Trump did more than just put up a wall.
Damn Trump. He's putting a virtual wall up. I got 3 more minutes.
Where are the comments being posted to?
On the YouTube link I sent on the chat. Okay, this is strange. Okay, what is going on here? You're talking on Facebook, but just an empty room on YouTube. What?
There's probably a delay.
You get it?
Yeah, I see the.
So the link on YouTube is what you should be looking at. The Facebook should just be a link to the YouTube, but I don't think anything is actually linked off the Facebook.
Comments on the chat. Are you going to question on the chat or on the?
I think I'm going to take. You know what? I'll take questions. Yeah, I'm sure there's a bit of delay on the Google stream, just maybe a split second. So what I recommend, but everyone go through the Google stream on the Google. Google is basically YouTube, isn't it? Or is that different?
Yeah, but I guess if you're looking for questions, at least the chat will update in real time.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to keep refreshing YouTube.
What? You're in a black jacket on Facebook and a white t-shirt on YouTube. Wait, what? No, that's Robert. And this is the before, and that's the after.
That's what happens when you watch a diet and you exercise regularly.
Whatever. Not everyone could go to California that many times.
This is 2 for $5 Big Macs and Papa John's.
What? I don't eat that shit. Wait. Just in case we get endorsements. I love Mickey D's and Papa John's.
Love it.
All right. So I wonder if there's a different link. So are you getting the things on YouTube?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to refresh it to get the comments.
Okay. All right, we are going to start, and hopefully it's working. All right. All right, so I'm assuming this is working. If you don't can't view it at this current time, this is there'll be a link to the full stream. Okay. All right. All right. Morning. It's 10:01, and as usual, this time I knew exactly how to get this thing working. All right. Anyway, first of all, welcome to the Kirin Rise Wing Chun University. I want to thank Robert for showing up. Because had I asked Ryan, he's still asleep.
It's still a jet lag.
He still has jet lag. So anyway, whether you go through YouTube to ask me questions or the Kirin Rise Wing Chun chat on Facebook, either one is fine. Probably the Kirin, I got both, so I'll be scrolling through each one. Eventually, when we get this right, I'll just have one. But, you know, that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, it's awfully amateur right
All right. Okay, so first of all, if you have questions, start posting them now. Otherwise, I'm going to get started on several topics first. Okay, first of all, let's get to the start of something I want to cover. So, 13 principles. You know them all?
now. No particular order.
No particular order. How about the physical first?
Posture, position, timing, distance, and what am I missing?
What's that?
Power.
Yeah, there you go. See?
I was like, is it 2 P's? 3 P's. 2 P's or 3 P's.
All right, so that's good. You look like I teach by example. No, learn the blackboard kick. All right, so we're only going to cover today the 5 physicals, and like Robert said in stall delay, at least he was able to do all 5. He was able to do all 5, or if I tested Negron or something like that, I don't know. So anyway,
Yeah,
the 5 physicals. Okay, posture. Think of it this way: as simple as this 3 P's and TD, touchdown. Okay, that's the easiest way to remember it. Posture, positioning, power. Okay, timing and distance. Okay, 13 principles exist all at one time. Okay, and then within the 13, there's about 85 other theories, concepts, and functions that are floating around that you need to get at least working at one particular time. But for now, we're just going to cover the 5 physical principles, and we're gonna see how much we can take it to what particular level. Okay, so first of all, let's understand a little bit about the principles itself. Okay, we have posture, positioning, power, timing, and distance. These physical principles exist in everything that you do. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, whether it's Wing Chun, whether it's hockey, whether it's dancing, or whether it's walking, you are executing or doing these physical principles all the time. So when you look at it from the Wing Chun perspective, okay, what you're basically looking at is the breakdown and understanding of how are you doing all these things. Because in Wing Chun, the best way to look at things is, okay, you have three structures, right? You have your legs, your body, and your arm, okay? And then when in level 1 curriculum, what I'm trying to have you do first is you have three structures, but now I'm actually having you deconstruct all three structures, so you're learning how to juggle each individual structure one by one. So first of all, let's say your hands, okay? You do hand techniques. You're learning hand techniques, right? Pop, lock, whatever, 20 single man techniques, Tanda, Ganda, and so forth. And I'm asking you, here's a set of juggling balls, which is the hand techniques. Learn the coordination to actually execute these out. Work on that only. Then you have your body, which is your body, right? Another structure that you have to learn how to control. Here's your body, learn how to make the adjustments, work on this by itself. And then eventually you have your legs, you have your footwork drills. You have your, there's a total of 16 footwork, and from there, you have different drills for freestyle and so forth. And then I'm telling you, learn to work on these on your own, okay? So each one, we're breaking it down for you to individually coordinate by itself. And then eventually, once you know how to do one, once you know how to do the other, and once you know how to do the third, you try putting them together and start juggling them all together. Now, when we talk about the 5 physical principles, okay, you are constantly doing these every single time. So in other words, the power, the positioning, the timing, you are juggling this and learning exactly when you need what at what particular time. So in a deeper sense, when we go into it later, you'll understand what does one physical principle bring about to deal with the other one. Okay, in other words, if the guy has a better posture than you, well, what can I do in order to counter it? Because if he has a better posture, you're not going to be going posture against posture with him, okay? You might have to use another one of the physical principles, like maybe timing, maybe distance, maybe power to deal with that physical principle. So that's eventually what you're going to learn to do. Now, if he's juggling all 5 of them really well and much better than you at every single aspect, then what does that mean? That means go home and practice more. That's basically all you can do, right? So that's the learning to juggle what to do with what, and you're basically, it's like a chess match of, okay, if he's beating me at this particular game, how can I beat him? But if he has all 5 physical principles covered, and as much as you max out yours and you can't beat him, well, guess what? More practice. Okay. So let's look at each individual principle and how it relates to one another. Okay. And we'll look at it from purely a Wing Chun perspective. All right. So let me check. So you remember, if you have questions, ask. But in the meantime, I'm rattling off stuff. Feel free to listen in. Okay. So, what exactly? Let's take the first one. Posture. Okay. Yeah. Let's go with posture. Posture, or basically referred to as structure. Okay. I'm gonna go deeper into this. What can you talk about it? Like I'm putting rubber in the spot.
Posture?
Yeah. What can you?
Posture is
in relationship to the principles, just like a basic concept to pull off
of what posture is on its own.
Yeah.
Posture on its own is pretty much Yijiku. That's your stance.
Okay.
So if you look at like a literal definition of what posture is, we talk about the stance. You have to be vertical. The body has to be vertical. It has to be upright. So you look at different ways, right? Some people, their posture, they slouch, right? Or if we're talking specifically about vertical, the vertical can be it can be back off that axis point, or it could be forward, right? So those are the extremes that you deal with, but you're always looking for what's specifically upright, what's vertical.
Okay. All right, he's talking about an aspect of the stance, but let's go a little bit deeper on posture. When we think of structure, when we think of posture, when we look at what element of a particular hand, let's say even like a particular hand technique, what exactly stems off that concept when you look at the physical principle? So, for example, okay, there is a term that we refer to, I've talked about it before first, is the V shape, okay? The V shape refers to the structural hold of any of the techniques, whether it's your arm, body, or legs. It exists in all that we do, okay? And let's go a little bit deeper in what it exactly means. For the arms, we have a V-shaped formation. For the body, we have a C shape, and for the legs, it's also a V shape too. And I'll go into detail with that. The V shape in itself is the structural hold of the technique. If I hold my tanza, if I hold my hand like this, from my shoulder to my elbow to my arm to my wrist, okay, you can actually see a V-shaped formation here. Okay, a V-shaped formation. Why do I need this V-shaped formation? Because with this V-shaped formation and the proper tension, you actually have the structural hold of every technique that you see before you, and the function that occurs from that. For example, Robert said, let's say tanza. Okay, so right here, you can see from here, shoulder, elbow, and then also from his wrist, you see a V-shaped formation. V-shaped formation lets you deal with the actual force that comes in. Because if you have it here, okay, when the force kicks in, notice from if the force kicks in, everything with the force travels in the same path, right? In other words, if his power stems from the ground up, right, starts from the legs to the body to the shoulder and stems from here. If everything is done and held correctly in place, you have an automatic response structurally for once the pressure comes onto it. Okay, so for example, if I push against his arm right here, when he feels the pressure here, it goes down here, up here, and then straight down to his stance, automatically. Now look, if I let go, see, look how he automatically bounces off that. That's what you want. Anytime that you do anything in Wing Chun, you want that natural reaction, okay? If, for example, and I want you to see again, so step back a little so they can see. So from here, if I push against his arm, watch, I'll exaggerate a little bit. See how his body compresses in and his body compresses out. All natural because of the proper shape and formation of everything that he's holding. Okay, so when the force kicks in, right? Now look, this is a V shape. If his hand was straight like this, now like an L, right? If I push the same pressure here against like this, look. See how his body doesn't react? It doesn't go through the proper channels as far as stemming from one structure to another before it gets down to exactly to its feet. From this point on, it just kicks in right away. See that? But once I change it from this position here to the V-shaped formation, right? Automatically, you see it like a compression. So when the force gets into him, he compresses. As soon as the force is out, he automatically decompresses. And that's without any thought at all. Okay? So let's break that down a little more. Okay. So this V-shaped formation that we have here exists in the arms. The same thing can be said for his body, okay? Now, for his body though, is straight like this, right? It's straight like this. When his body is like this, it's not V, it's actually a C shape, okay? So, Robert, can you exaggerate it? Make it look like that. In order for him to maintain the force, or basically how his body springs and compresses, instead of a V shape, it's called a C shape because that's exactly what happened. You're having a straight force, and then when you anything that can represent that. I don't think I have anything. Next time I'll have it. When you have something straight and you push against it straight down, instead of the vertical that he is here, it turns into a C. Same way as it functions, whether it's a V shape, but it's called a C shape. But the same primary idea happens there. Now, with his legs, okay, from here to here to here, his legs. When the force kicks in, same thing. Okay, I'll exaggerate too. Okay, watch. When the force kicks in, you see more, exaggerate where you look like a C. He looks like a C. You see how it looks like a C? In order for him to maintain it, that's the compression happening in. Now with the legs, this same function that you have with the arms is now a V. This is also a V shape. And the adjustment that you'll have on the knees basically is what? You have the compression. So look at the compression, the difference of the force when the force comes in. The body, when you're vertical, does not stay exactly the same. It has to adjust with the force. So when I push in, you see the C come in, And then you see here, his legs go more forward, and then here, compress, and then when I let go, it extends straight back up to its natural position. That is the structure for all three at one particular time, okay? You have the V shape of the arm first, dealing with the compression of that, then the body, C shape, dealing with the compression of that, then the legs, dealing with the V shape also with that point, dealing with the compression of that. And when the force lets go, automatically you spring back up. Okay, that is the structure or posture of one of the principles that we're talking about. If done correctly, automatic. Okay, and what you're working on is a greater grace period, right? A lessening the grace period. So, for example, let's get back into the stance. Okay, and have the hands out here. Okay, look, when I push his force, when I push him here, look, right here, he press, see him compress in, and it goes up. Automatically, it's good. Okay, automatically, it's good. In other words, he held everything from the structure, from the legs, the body, and arm perfectly in place. Okay, so in other words, just like a domino effect, one after another, everything springs in, everything springs out. Now, if I adjust him like this, okay, his V shape, the structure is not too good, his hold's not too good. Watch. See, it's still functioning kind of the same way, but you have a slower response, a weaker response, and the structure is not as good. Why? Because everything's not in place. You can actually, when you feel this, let's ask Robert, when you feel this, do you feel you have to make an adjustment to hold it? Or does it feel like it's automatic?
No, it's not automatic. Feels like there's a delay.
There's a delay.
You have to adjust after the force comes in.
And then if that's the case, after the fact, when the force comes in after the fact, you're trying to adjust with it, 9 times out of 10, that's already too late. That's already too late. You want that automatic response. Everything we develop in Wing Chun is an automatic response. It's not like a trained dog, right? You see it, and then all of a sudden the force is here, and then you try to respond to it. That will be too late in a real-time situation. Okay, totally too late.
So Pavlov is wrong.
Yeah, Pavlov is wrong. Okay, so now look, start, like I said, everything matters, right? Now notice, like here, his tongue's out flat in this position, V shape. If I put his tongue like this, right, still V shape, look. A little more muscle?
Yeah.
A little more muscle involved in here, right? And then you're like, well, the V shape's in there, but the full structural hold, that everything matters in Wing Chun. Everything you do matters. So when I bitch at you and say, this should be flat, the tension should run through, all that tension makes a difference. So for example, he was in this position, still V shaped, but this hand position is off. The hand position doesn't fully inflate the balloon of his arm properly. And he has to use a little more muscle in order for him to hold it. But now if he holds it flat like this, now the balloon's perfectly in place. He holds it like this, less muscle, automatic. Right? Do you feel the difference?
Yeah. Just how exactly does keeping this position flat, I guess, from the wrist, why does that happen? Why is there such a difference?
Magic. No, think about tension. How do you create the proper tension to imagine you have a balloon, you have to inflate the balloon the right amount, you have to have the right amount of tension. Now look at the function. You may have the V shape of this tanzal in place.
From shoulder to wrist.
Yeah, from shoulder to the wrist, you have the V shape. But the tension is incorrect because the inflation is not fully done from one side to another. So when I go like this to push him, it looks like he can hold it, right? It looks like he can hold it, but he has to use more muscle. If he goes like this, now the tension's there, and now it's even less. The tension to hold the technique in the right place is there, and now the end result, he has a quicker response to that. But now look, if he has his hand flat like this, but now, put his fingers like this, relax, right? Relax like this. Now you go like this. Doesn't work. Is it even if his hands like this? It has to be flat, straight, and now look. Automatic. He doesn't know that. He's just like, hey, I don't remember you teaching that.
Just monkey see, monkey do.
But you see the difference.
Yeah.
I know visually you're looking at it, it's like, oh, I can't see the difference. You can test it out on yourself, okay? when you're looking at it at home, when you're looking at this video, the V shape is still here. And I push it down, it feels like you can somewhat hold it. It's not bad. But if you put it flat, less muscle, even less muscle involved in that. Now, like I said, my hand is flat in this position, right? My hand is flat in this position, but let's say my fingers are curled like this, you can't hold it as much. The reaction time isn't there. The way to imagine it, the way to visualize it, the way to think about it is just, it's a balloon. The balloon has to be inflated a certain way, the right way for it to have a correct response. You can hold tons out any freaking way you want, right? But I'm looking for the way that leads me to the most automatic response. Where all of a sudden you touch it, boom, Tom already did it. Already countered you from that point once you touched it. Not the forces here, Tom, snap, and then all of a sudden I do it. That is not what I'm looking for. Okay, let me look at, I know I've been talking for a bit, let me look at some Q&A here. All right. So, look here. Okay, so Ralph asks, how will we know how to adjust the properly according to the situation? Okay, that's all from the training. That's all from sticky hands. Okay, you'll know exactly how to adjust from something based on doing your forms, doing your punches, doing your stance, doing sticky hands. Like right there when Robert was holding that, right? He was holding this position. Looks perfectly in place. But once I did it straight, what I did here, and he didn't have the right position, you can actually feel the different tension from that. And that's what you're looking for. In the beginning, I understand it's monkey see, monkey do. You try to copy and mimic the motion. Like you could see someone try to do a Wing Chun motion. And yes, that's Wing Chun. But if you have the eye, you have the skill, you can see right away that whether or not that guy's using technique or that guy's using structure. Okay, totally different. All right, let me see if there's any questions on the YouTube chat.
Can I make a comment? I might be jumping ahead.
Go ahead.
But you know, even not even just this morning, but even in classes like the last week, you know, you've been emphasizing a lot more about what's natural, right? And natural from the perspective of the grace period. You're decreasing that grace period, that response, so that the response becomes much more automatic.
Yeah.
Right. So then, looking at it from that, I guess, particular perspective, then every single point, every single principle, physical principle, that's essentially that's the key right there that you're trying to develop. Right?
Yeah. Every
timing, most automatic response when it comes to timing, or the most decrease in minimizing the grace period. Same thing with distance. Same thing with power. Because everything, you know, when it comes to what's trying to develop what's the most natural, like if I think about power, right? Power, you know, we tend to we don't kill the power when we're off target. You know, we hold it, and so that means that the motion slows down from the end of that particular motion to the next one, right? So you're looking at how well can you kill that power so that you can follow up and decrease the grace period to the next motion.
If the punch comes out naturally, right? Naturally. By the time I release it, by the time I punch, I release the power, automatically, you know, the amount of grace period from the wind-up stage to the execution stage to the recoil stage is lesser every single time.
So I mean, essentially, in a nutshell, if you're developing everything to the point where you can do it naturally, then that means that the grace period minimizes
significantly. Yeah, that's what you want. Okay. Right.
All right, done. See you guys.
So think about that. You're battling. If he's doing times out, right, and I'm doing whatever, say Wing Chun Lesson, what's the difference in it? Is the difference basically is who's holding their structure better, who's holding their timing better, who's reacting quicker, and that's what we're talking about, the grace period of adjustments to it. Okay. So for example, right, let's just look. Robert's here. Okay. Robert's here. I put a little pressure on him. Right? I put a little pressure on him, but I see the compression in there, and that's great. He can hold it. Okay. And then at that particular time, I let go. Okay, I challenge him with that amount of force. He can hold that. But once again, we look at a matter of structure versus structure, timing, everything, all 5 physical principles. Who's jumping what first? When I push towards him, right there, by the time he compresses up ready, okay, I want to see exactly where his structure is. Right here, he can hold. Perfect, right? But as soon as I hold it here, I take over right here. See, beyond the point he can handle. See how I grab it? I automatically feel the timing of it as far as, yes, at that particular time, he can counter me at that point. But already I feel a split second change, and that split second change, he's doing the same Wing Chun. But my grace period is quicker to react than his, and then by the time I make the adjustment, he's just a split second late. And already at that point, you see already how the force kicked back in, and then he's like, oh, okay, that caught him off guard.
Is there a particular principle that because at the start of this, you're saying, like, if someone's posture is better, then you can't beat them with posture. Yeah. But you have to look at a different time.
Yeah.
So in that sense, right here, when we're doing this, right, you come in. I mean, yes, you're giving me what I can handle.
I put force into him right here.
And so
imagine that's 5 pounds right here.
Right, but here, posture versus posture is somewhat equal, right? Because you're pretty much giving me what I can handle.
Equal.
But because that neutralizes, it's neutralized at that point.
At this point, the game's even.
What are you doing then? Are you switching to a power principle?
Depends. I think it's different.
Because that's what it feels like. It feels like it's actually maybe power and time.
Yeah, it could be anything. You can manipulate any way you want.
But like, I can hold this. If we stay at this point right here, I feel like I can neutralize this. But I know that when you took over, I was still holding the power.
Yeah.
So in a sense, in that can you look at it like you took over with?
You can break it down to different ways to deal with it, right? So for example, I know it's really hard to see this thing. Right here when I push against him, let's say this is 5 pounds. Okay, this 5 pounds, he can withstand, equalize, and neutralize this 5 pounds. And at this point, he's fine. So all of a sudden, then again, I go from here, okay, his stance feels good, but I adjust my structure now. Now look, he's on his heel. All I did was adjust my structure to make it stronger. And then all of a sudden, he's on the back of his heel. It's hard to see, but he can tell you, okay, what did I do? I adjusted my structure a little bit better, right? My posture a little bit better. I didn't do anything with power. I just adjusted my structure, my vertical in place. And next thing you know, he's already on the back of the heel. Same thing. I give him 5 pounds again of pressure for him to deal with. Okay. Now, I'm not adjusting anything else. Now from here, from this 5 pounds, I give him more power. Now see that power, he can't deal with the power. He's already on the back of his heel. So that time, what am I doing? I'm dealing with another aspect of the five physical principles and giving him something to play with, see what he can deal with. Now look, let's look at that aspect of that. Okay, let's just look at that aspect. You see me at 5 pounds, I put more power into him, more than he can handle, and you see him rock back to the back. So what game can he play? What can he do to counter that? So if it's 5 pounds here, okay, I want you to be aware of this point here, okay? This is 5 pounds. I'm gonna go slow so you can feel it. I'm gonna put more weight. No, see how he's moving back. Now what's he trying to do? He's trying to go power with my power. But if I have more power, he's gonna lose. So all of a sudden, I'm trying to put more power. Here's 5 pounds. Now I'm saying I'm going to put 10, right? When he starts to put 10, or 6, 5, 6, 7, let's go with that. If I start to put 6 pounds and he fights back, look, automatically he can put back. Please look at my game. Okay, let's say he pushed me, and we're exactly the same. I'm at 5 pounds. He starts to put more power. Look how I adjust my structure. He tries to push me. Look, what's happening here? This 5 pounds stays exactly the same.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Why is that? Well, I'm playing a different thing. Look, he's strong at this point. Look at the distance. The closer the distance is towards me, the stronger I am. The weaker he is to push from that point on. I played a different game.
So you utilize distance.
In that instant, I utilized distance. Okay? I was like, okay, I can't beat this guy at this game. He's got too much power. So if he's so strong here, guess what? I'm going to move it back here to the point where I know I can hold it. But the 5 pounds stays exactly the same, the exact amount of time. Okay?
But the thing is, one principle that's not just, maybe distance is more.
It's hard to isolate one individual.
Right, because there's other things happening there too.
Yeah, everything's happening. Yeah, everything's happening also at the same time. But when you talk about this idea, we break it down so you can understand.
Right.
You can't just do one thing. It's like you can't be, I'm only doing this, or I'm only breathing at this time. No, everything else is working at the same time.
That's the disclaimer, right? I mean, I'm saying that, I guess I'm saying it for all of us, which is you're not isolating one specific principle, because it might be more like maybe distance in that situation was more pronounced, but then there's still the involvement of all the other.
That's true. That's true. In other words, while we can physically talk about one individual principle, no matter what, all the others are still coming into play at one particular time. So, for example, like Robert was saying, we are talking from here. If it's 5 pounds and I want to maintain it, he's pushing me towards me, and this 5 pounds still stays 5 pounds. You're only looking at it from a distance perspective, but you actually have to look at it now, if I wanted to put it from a power perspective too. And you're like, well, how exactly does power come about? Power, okay, great. This is perfect. We talked a little bit and scratched a little bit of the surface of posture, right? This will lead us right to the power. Power, and we've talked about this before, is based off equalize and neutralizing the force. Okay, equalizing and neutralizing the force. Okay, what does that mean? When the power is here, okay. In other words, let's do this. Two forces are coming. We engage here, right at this particular point. When we engage this point right here, equalizing the force and neutralizing the force must come into play. And if you haven't seen the video before, remember what I said. If I toss an egg, a water ball at Robert, he cannot just simply grab and try and grab it. He touches it and then goes with it in order to control it. Okay. Now sometimes you say, "Well, I saw in football this guy threw a rocket. He's like this," and then just basically caught it. But basically, what's the difference? He's still doing the same thing, but his level of grace period. If I catch the ball and I do it like this, equalize, neutralize. If I catch the ball and you throw it just as hard and I go like this, same thing. What's the difference? What you don't see, if I go like this, right, equalize, neutralize, right? What you don't see is I go equalize, neutralize. See that? Just a little motion, you don't see that? I'm doing the same thing, but what is it? A lesser, greater grace period. More skill involved into that, okay? So when dealing with the power aspect, right, all forces have to engage first. In other words, if I give you a question, you must answer that question and deal with it first. If you don't deal with it, you're still screwed on the next motion, right? You're still totally screwed on the next motion because that present problem is still lingering on upon you. Background. All right, one second. I'll leave that to people to think about. Sorry, so much talking. Let's see. Okay, coming back to that. I'm sorry. Let me see if there's any questions here. And well, let me remember the subject we're talking about, power and that particular aspect. Okay, so Mike, I think one of the questions you had is if I have an incoming force of 5 pounds, equalize, neutralize the force, I have to create 5 pounds of my own. But since it can't be 5 pounds of the opposing force, I can push it back. Also, is it possible to always be slightly above your force-wise to 5.1 pounds? Okay, so basically, it's perfect because that's basically the subject we're covering right now, dealing with the power. Okay, so let's touch back onto that. Okay, so if I meet here and this is 5 pounds, if he gives me 5 pounds, and all of a sudden I meet him there at 5 pounds, at that particular point, this force is neutralized. How do I know it's neutralized? It's because I can actually get it. Imagine you caught the ball. Now you actually have the ball, you can deal with that particular force. Okay? So at this particular point here, when I meet him at this point, I've neutralized the point. 5 pounds. How do I know it's neutralized, right? Because 5 pounds at this point is a static, let's look at it, equalize and neutralize the point. Have I covered static and dynamic control? Okay, I don't know if I covered static and dynamic control with you guys before. I'd have to check. But basically, when we touch this point, okay, this is 5 pounds. If our hands remain the same, okay, I don't move, he doesn't move. He pushes towards me, but this 5 pounds still stays 5 pounds. Okay, I'll exaggerate. 5 pounds is still 5 pounds. Statically, okay, it's still 5 pounds. Now, if he pushes to try to get more power, like he wants to press against something, this 5 pounds is exactly still 5 pounds. Okay, see how I adjusted myself from that point on? Just for a visual look, right? Okay, so from here, he moves, 5 pounds is 5 pounds. He moves it up, he tries to move back away from me, right? 5 pounds is still 5 pounds, no matter where he moves his hand. £5 is 5 pounds. If it wasn't, then what happens? If you did not equalize and neutralize the force, right? If you didn't equalize and neutralize the force, let's say I just touch. You see people touch. He pulls his hand away. See how there's a gap. There's a gap. Or if I didn't equalize and neutralize the force, he starts pushing into me. Oh, now 5 pounds is now 10 pounds. Okay? So the point when you actually equalize and neutralize and deal with that particular point is at that particular instant, when you meet that force, he is now carrying the burden of your weight. A lot of burden.
Atlas.
All right, so do you understand it? When we say, what is sticky hands? Sticky hands, we see people do sticky hands all the time. Just because you're touching does not mean it's sticky hands, okay? Right? Is it Wing Chun? It's still Wing Chun. Is it sticky hands? It's still sticky hands. Is it good with sticky hands? At that level, is whatever. Okay? But true understanding of what sticky hands means is once we connect, once we touch, you cannot leave my hand. Okay? All right, so I want you to understand that. So if we're touching here, right? He moves his hand around, wherever. So no matter where I go, or wherever he goes, he's stuck onto that. If I didn't know how to do sticky hands, it looks like this. He moves his hand. I can't shut it off. All right, he follows my hand. That's what it looks like. All right.
I can make fun of myself. It was so good.
Yeah, that's all the state. Everyone starts on somewhere, okay? But see the difference. If depending, not if someone else did, if someone else, if Robert did this with someone else, he'd be able, no matter where he goes, he can follow him. But me, it's hard for him to follow because right here, he can follow me. I know his power. I can detach, put more, and I can disengage when I want. See? I can control my motion better than he can control. Okay, and you remember that is an aspect that you want to understand. The skill you want from sticky hands is that no one knows sticky hands, right? In other words, you get into a fight, no one's going to be like, "Oh, Tom, you're doing your time wrong," or "I'm going to try rolling in on you." But the moment a fight happens, where once you touch, as soon as I touch from him, I already make him stick to this point, right? I already make him stick to that point. That's where you're applying it. Okay, remember, development and application in that sense is I'm not looking to apply sticky hands. The skill I have from sticky hands is when you touch my hand, you are stuck to my hand. Okay? And this is very useful. Okay, so for example, you're at the dance and all of a sudden she's here. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you following my hand? I don't want to dance with you. Ryan, use that too. All right, so hopefully you understand that. Development and application, that is the end goal. That is the skill I want you to have. And let's look a little bit a little more onto that, okay? So when we touch, okay, I touch here, and I know there's some questions there. When we touch here, 5 pounds is 5 pounds. Right? At 5 pounds and 5 pounds, this is perfect. I equalize and neutralize the point, right, wherever he goes. But if 5 pounds is 5 pounds, exactly, right? And he pulls away, see, all of a sudden he can move wherever he wants, okay? If we look a little deeper into that, okay, sneaky hands is like thinking of it. Here, we touch. Here, I deal with your force. Here, all of a sudden, I'm telling you to carry my weight, but I am never allowing you to put the weight on me. Okay? So, for example, we'll make it visual so you can see. He's like this. If I'm like this, okay? See how my hands, let's get a little closer. If I'm like this, see how his hand is at the angle? My hand's like this. If he pulls away right away, oh, okay, see there's a gap. Because why? We're just simply touching hands, okay? If you're touching hands, yeah, you won't be able to control it. But now, instead of here, see he's vertical this way, and I'm this way. Now all of a sudden, look, see how now he's carrying the weight. When he moves, see the weight's still on him the entire time. All right. So imagine that 5 pounds. This 5 pounds. Here's 5 pounds vertically. He's not carrying it. He can move away right away, and I have to follow him. But if I go, here's 5 pounds. Now carry the 5 pounds. See, he's stuck. No matter where he goes, it's still 5 pounds. Now, if he pulls away, he's still carrying 5 pounds. If he pulls away, he's still carrying 5 pounds. If he starts to try to put more, well, the 5 pounds is still I'm still 1 over him on the 5 pounds. So he still has the same weight on him regardless every single time. And that never, ever changes at that point of control, unless I want to break out of that point of control. Okay, and the only time I want to break out of that point of control is when I want to go for my hip. Okay, see, he has that burden. When we're in a triangle situation here, let's say he does hot punch, and then we're in a triangle situation here, right? It's not just him touching my hands, right? If he pulls his hands away, just pull your hands away, and then all of a sudden go for a hook, like shoot, he did a hook, right? Okay, like he's gonna go just wildly swinging. That's one thing, okay? Because we just engage like we engage, okay, we're engaged here, and then all of a sudden he goes for a hook or something, or just break away and then just go for a hook. See, I have no control of that situation. Okay, but when we touch and engage, he block here, and then he starts to move his hands. He has to carry the weight of my technique every single time. The only way he can break out of that situation is he has to disengage outside my triangle. Outside of my triangle. In other words, if we're here, right here, see, we're in my triangle at this position here. Everything at this point here, let's say he moves towards me, right? This is my structure still holding here. He pulls back, my structure still, see how I follow him here. But if he wants to get out of this, he has to move out of the triangle. When he disengage out of the triangle, that's when I'm hitting him. Okay? So that's the only way you can actually get out of it. That's a skill you're developing, right? Now look, the same concept here. If we're in this position here, right? Notice we're in this position here. All of a sudden, he pulls back. My hand still follows him. He tries to put force into it, but my hand does not give him that amount of weight, right? See, I can adjust it, right? I can adjust it. Now how would I probably adjust it? If he goes like this, I would adjust the force. See, boom. See how I adjust the force? See, 5 pounds is still 5 pounds. But he's still stuck on that point every single time. Nothing has changed. Okay? Now, I wanted to show you something. If this 5 pounds, right, that's here, all of a sudden collapses in like this, that's no good. But notice when he pushes towards me, this distance, okay, if you look at the distance here, right, the V shape here. See how I have a V shape here? When this V shape, when he pushes in, I go like this. This is fully collapsed. Okay, I want you to look at something here. He's here, he pushes towards me, and I go boom. See how I hit him? Like this? Now, let me go for a second. This is my hand being pinned down. Looks like I can actually apply it, but I won't. Okay? But now look, he pushes here into me. Pushes in, look, now let go. Exactly same distance. Nothing's changed. See how I adjusted myself so my house stays exactly the same, but the force, when he comes into it, stays exactly fine. But look at it, it's hard to see that in video. When he pushes it in like this, if I go like this, right, this is my hand collapsing. No good. Even though it looks like I could get a hit, right? But now, he's like here, he pushes my hand, what happens? And I hit. Exactly the same distance. Exactly the same distance the entire time. Okay? Make sense? All right, let me look at some questions here. Okay, let's see. So, let's see. Okay, Ralph asked the question, and it's okay if you go off the subject matter. I'll just jump back into the other subjects eventually. So Ralph had a question. See if we're changing a little of the subject. You said something about Wing Chun Jedi Mind Trick. How's that work? All right. Actually, all aspects, whether physical or mental, actually you play it the same way. Okay, you actually play it the same way, Ralph. So in other words, remember the example, I'm here, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm going to do motion, and then Robert's supposed to block me. He blocks my motion, okay? But if I go like this, boom, see, just before he does something, okay? He throws it at that moment. Just before he can do something, I am passive the entire time. So in other words, remember, everything that we do is passive, so we can counter it. So you can say the Jedi mind trick in itself, when you apply it, and when you're physically talking to other people, is also very passive too. That means I can respond to someone in a passive situation, and not necessarily give him anything. He asks me something, I can actually respond to him and not actually give him an answer to that. So in the essence, I want him to basically talk first. But really, the Jedi mind trick works best with people. If you can, remember how I talked about the emotional control, right? Quiet the mind, empty the mind, sinking in control. If you know how to control your emotion and not be all of a sudden, oh man, that guy pissed me off, almost 99% of the time you can Jedi mind trick people from that easily. Because if you look around, okay, like, in America we got the election going on, and you can see stupid at the highest level. Because people are so emotional, right? It's like, oh, my candidate's so good. Oh, my candidate's so good. You're stupid for liking him. Well, you're stupid for liking him. But you're really skilled. You see the bigger picture. And you don't, see, the Wing Chun person can see, oh, I see everything Trump's saying. Oh, I see everything Hillary's saying. Okay. I can see both good, I can see both bad. I can see both good, I can see both bad. But when most people are emotional, what's the proper term? Idiots. I should say that. Emotionally undeveloped. Okay? Not like that. You can use that. That's very good. Emotionally undeveloped. And what you're trying to do is to train them for emotional development to be applied later on. Well, you use that, huh? For my thing, I get no cut. Okay? So, in other words, people, you see it right away. People are emotional right away for anything that they do. And once they bite, right? Once they bite on that, you can do whatever you want. You can use this for both good. You can use it for both
yeah, Raph, what do you want to use this for?
See, Trump was right. Make a bigger wall.
Come off the Wi-Fi.
All right, so there's definitely more detail into that, but basically one principle that you apply physically, you apply mentally as well. And that's the beauty of Wing Chun. It doesn't have an and/or situation or amendment to that situation, or if this is the case, that doesn't work. That's the beauty of it. Staying passive, always in control. You'll be at advantage over everyone, right? It's funny, I'll give you an example, right?
So like, let's say we're at the store, right? And then returning an item. And all of a sudden, the person in front of me is like, "Oh, you're such a jerk. I'm trying to get this to work and everything, and you won't help me and stuff like that." And the person, I remember, the person's yelling at the customer, at the sales employee working there, and like, look, and he's like, "Oh, he's really come to a point where he's pissed him off and stuff like that." And he's like, "Oh, I can't help you. We gotta get a manager and stuff like that." I said, "I'm never coming to this store again. I'm out of here." So he's all bitching and all upset. So a really tense situation. So then I come up to this and I was like, one of those days, and he starts laughing. Yeah, it's one of those days. And then, I basically probably the same kind of situation. I had to do something else, but he helped me out. He did not help the other person out, right? Because any situation, remember I said the number one rule: point the finger at you. Okay? It's like, man, I go to that guy every time. He's always upset at me. Why is that? It's probably because you're a dick. Adjust yourself to them. Adjust yourself. And you see that all the time. It's like, I'll go deeper into this, is that you create that scenario for yourself. I'll give you an example. Okay? I know that I'm getting off topic here. It sounds like, oh man, I had the worst girl, right? Worst girl. She did this and this to me. I totally hate her. Oh, she's terrible. I did nothing. And then most people would be like, oh yeah, it's her fault. Yeah, she is a total bitch and blah blah blah. You look at it deeper, right? And you're thinking, why did that happen? You look at it deeper. You think to yourself, why would you pick her? Not why did she do that to you? Okay? Because in the end, you decided that. You made that decision. Your energy attracted that. Okay? That's looking at it in a bigger sense. And that's the thing. In this day and age of society, everyone wants to pass the buck as someone else will deal with it. But you learn to accept the responsibility. Like Ryan Maki. I'm sorry. I just saw that last time. It's just too amusing. Right? But but that's the thing. You learn to actually accept the responsibility of it. Then you'll see a lot of the things that happen your fault. Okay? Good majority of it. Okay? All right. That's a deep subject. We can go into that more later. Okay. All right. Here's our question. In the first main section of Silom Tao, Tan Wu Fu combination, we can obviously just perform the motions, but there's a particular feeling in the arm we should look within the motion and transition between them. Okay, let's just we'll jump subjects here. We'll go about Tan, Wu Sao, and Fu Sao into it. So let's do this sideways. Let's do it. Now remember, every motion that we did have a purpose. And then when he does Tanza, okay, notice like we said, V-shaped formation. This is sunk, and then you have a certain amount of tension involved. And then what are you looking for? What you're looking for is when the force kicks in, force goes down. As soon as I let go, force automatically bounces up. And the better he does it, it's automatic. Boom, automatic. Okay, you are looking when you do Silom Tao to do that with every single hand technique. So if he does Tanzao, right? He does Tanzao. You're seeing that same motion, okay? But actually, no, that's too much. Sorry, I'm trying to decide what information to give. And it's not me keeping information from you, it might be too much information, okay? So what you're looking for, that if he practices by himself, he's looking for that. He can put pressure on his own arm and see if Robert goes like this and he puts pressure, see exactly what he's doing. If I hold my thumbs out like this, okay, too far out, I go like this, see how much of a sink there is? That means my hand's too far up. So if I have the right amount, see how it's just natural from that point? If I'm up here, you should feel for tension, and that's off. But if I'm here, you can put a little pressure on it and you see the natural bounce. Natural bounce, that's what you're looking for. If there's too much of a give, that's the wrong kind of tension too. That means your structure will collapse at that point on. Okay, so same thing. Now, when you're transitioning from Tan, Wusa, Fu, the main thing that you're looking for is the elbow line position, okay? So for example, if I'm in Tanza, right? Tanza, the elbow goes in, but don't force it in, it's naturally in, right? Since I'm thinner than Robert, I can put my elbow in more, all right? I can see you. All right, so if I put my Tanza in, elbow line goes in. See how I'll exaggerate so you can see. My elbow line goes in. Okay, if I turn to Wusa, look at my elbow. I'll exaggerate. My elbow line goes up. Right? It goes up. And then I go to Fuxa, my elbow line goes medium in. So those are 3 levels: in, transition, out, that I'm going through every single time. And that's every structure, every hand technique is based on those 3 elbow lines. Okay? You cannot add one and do the other. In other words, I can't have Wusa and have an elbow line in. It'll feel really tight. I can't have Futsal and have elbow line out. Okay? It's too far out. You don't have the support on that. So basically, you're really paying attention to the elbow line each time when you're doing it. Okay? All right. Mike, I hope that answered your question. If there's more, please ask. Okay, Alan with a question. Go deeper into power. Rattan, bouncing, steel. Oh, okay. All right. So, power. Okay. Let's break down the aspect of development. Okay, you know this. 3 powers for development. And then 3 powers of application. Total 8.
3, 3, 8.
No, 3 and 5.
3 and 5. You said 3, 3. So someone's hand is off.
See, I was trying to pass the buck out.
3 development, 5 application.
Yeah. At least a 3. You know the basic 3. Yeah, I put him on the spot like this to see how much he knows. And it's okay because this just tells you, all this stuff, you have to teach it, right? You don't teach it, you won't be able to remember it. You can't be like, I remember this and stuff. You forget. You know or not?
Isn't it?
I'll start off with 1. Steel bar. Okay, so 2 more.
Rattan.
Okay.
And then
Or you could call it light also.
okay.
Or elastic. Okay.
Elastic power.
So you got the 2 power. Let's deal with that aspect first, the power, right? We have elastic power, steel bar power, and that forms to combine rattan power. That is the balance of it. That is your development aspect of it. Elastic power, right? Very flexible, but solid. Steel bar, unmovable, right? Powerful. Rattan, like if you have a rattan stick, right? You can bend it really a lot. It's so strong, right? But as I go, it still pops up. That's the end result of what you're working on. Okay. Development-wise, when you actually apply this, or you're actually working on it, when you remember the light sticky hands, you're working on elastic power right there. And for example, when you do light sticky hands, what are we doing? We're barely touching. I know it's hard to see from here. We're barely touching, just like a feather between each point. Because I want to see what? All right, let's see. Okay. Yeah, see, I want to see if he's controlling his own technique. Okay? If he wasn't controlling his own technique, we're barely touching this, but just still do like, right? Still do it. Yeah, if he wasn't, all of a sudden his hand goes down like that. Okay, so when you do the light sticky hands, seems simple enough. I say it all the time. You are controlling your own technique. Okay. Otherwise, if you're not controlling your own technique, you're laying upon that individual. Okay. Steel bar power basically is when you do heavy stick. Heavy stick is the ability to what? Right? Be able to still extend, drill the motion forward with a lot of power, and basically still maintain it without you basing your weight on the other individual. So, right, we're doing heavy stick from here, right? Heavy is push. Just dance. More push. It's still leaving. Okay, more practice. Don't worry. Don't worry. Heavy stick's hard. Okay. Heavy stick is basically putting the power. You're pushing against the wall as hard as you can. But as soon as the wall's there, you let go. See, you're still controlling it. But if you're pushing the wall as hard as you can and all of a sudden lean forward, you're not in control of your own power. So both instances, whether you're doing light, heavy, heavy stick, it's all a case of you actually controlling your own power. One instance is you're barely touching it, right? And I let go, you're still controlling it. The other is you're pushing as hard as you can. I let go, you're still in control of your own technique. And the end result is basically rattan power, the neutral point of holding the technique. Now, what does that mean? If I'm holding my hand in this position, right? This is regular, right? Rattan power. He pushes towards me, okay, I can hold the technique. All right. If he pushes towards me and then I want to go, you see, he push towards me, see how my hand? See, elastic, same amount, right? Or he pushes towards me, and then from here, I put steel, bar power in, right? I put the steel in there. From that point on, it's stronger power. Okay, so that's what we have. Light, heavy, and rattan. Then we have the applications of. Okay, you know the applications? Freeze.
Bounce. Rebound. Right?
You could say bounce and spring.
Okay. There's like two different ones?
Yeah, two totally different.
Freeze, spring, bounce.
Bounce the power, spring the power. Explode.
Explode power.
And what else? Connecting.
Okay.
Connecting. Okay. So do we understand that? There's 5 application power. You have freeze, you have bounce, you have spring, you have explode, and basically you have connect. Okay. Let's briefly go over some of the detail into this. Explode power. The best way to understand explode power, right? Is explode power is explode power. Visualize this first. If I have a grenade, right? Okay, I have a grenade and I just have it here, right at his chest. Yeah, it'll kill him, right? I have a grenade, I put him inside it. It explodes within. The exploding power. You remember, when you look at this, I'm trying to explain this to a level that you can understand. When you look at this, the applications of those 5 sets can link up to each other, right? It can link up to each other. You can't just say sometimes. You remember how we were saying, well, you can't just isolate, physical by the posture by itself without having time and distance. Same thing. You may be adding one motion or aspect to another of each individual application. Okay. So, for example, if I wanted to, if I'm here, right? If I'm here and I want to leave this point, but he's blocking me so much from this point, right? If I just go like this, boom, right? Boom, and you punch, he can easily deal with me and stick with me at that point. I exploded. I can go through it right away. Okay? But now notice when I applied that, when I applied that technique of explode, what else did I do? What other power did I use?
Spring.
Yeah, spring. Spring. Okay, let's go into that, okay? The best way to understand spring and bounce. Okay, they're 2 different ones. Spring is, if I have a ball, when I push the ball off my hand, it springs off me. When the ball hits this and bounces, it bounces off. There are 2 different kinds. One, I spring off, the other one bounces off. Okay? So in other words, from this example, I'm here. I spring a motion from here. And my power from here, I spring. See, look, see? Yeah, he can control it, he can stick to it. He's stick. Yeah, he bounces and stick. Now look, when I sprint to him, right? You spring, I try to stick. What did he do back? He bounced back. See the different power? I spring to say, oh, you're not going to be dealing with I'm going to clear the line. When I spring him, he bounced back and he stuck to me. He countered my motion.
So you can counter a power with another power?
Sure, why not? Right, you see that? My spring, I exploded it. Put more power into it, right? But there, I sprung, he tried to, how did he counter? He bounced back automatically from that point. Okay? Now if I go like this, if I spring like this, I spring, and he bounces back. I go right there, see? I go to the next motion there. What am I doing? Connect the powers. I go from here, boom, I spring. He pushes back here, from here. Right here, boom, same, and I connect. See, I'm connecting the powers together. So if you can connect the powers together, what happens, right? We're here. He starts moving, wherever. Here, my hand don't leave. I'm connecting his motion to one motion every single time. Connecting the power. Okay? So right there, you see explode. You see spring. You see bounce. You see connecting. Right? And then we've talked about a little bit about basically freeze as well. Okay? So hopefully that answers your question now to break it down again. So we have what? Development, light or elastic, steel bar, rattan. Okay?
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between spring and explode then?
Spring and explode?
Yeah. There's like, it seems like there would be some similarity between.
There is, and how you apply it. Because I can go from here, this motion, block, okay? He's blocking it. This motion, exploded it. You don't look at only the technique, look also what I'm doing your stance. This motion went from here, full, right, block. Okay. This motion, explode that. It could be on alert, it could be on attack, it could be to your stance. Completely do it with any different ways to use it. Could be also on the block, right? If I go pop punch like this, okay, and do pop to block, okay? Okay. If I go like this, now put a little more power, try blocking. Why do you block that? What you have to use? More explode power and counter that.
I had to use more explode power to block that?
Yeah. Use your regular block. You know, explode it. Yeah, see. Oh, I didn't block that. He never asked that before. That's why he's thinking now.
That just felt like I had to engage the body more.
Yeah, you good. The explode doesn't necessarily, don't look at it from when you can be the power you explode from the whole body more to engage it.
Oh man, okay.
Don't be so small and you're looking at only one aspect.
Yeah.
You have to look at the big picture of how you're applying everything to it.
Alright, I need to wheels are turning.
See, he didn't ask that question. This is why he doesn't know. All right, everyone okay so far? Let's see some questions here. Okay. Let's see those. All right. Hopefully, everything I'm talking about is not so overwhelming and over the top for you guys to pick up. And you remember, if you have a question later on, definitely ask. Let's see. We have a question here, okay? How I spring from my legs for a powerful punch. Remember, the power of the punch, everything that we apply from that, everything that we want to do from the power of the punch stems from how well we can control our center, our vertical, okay? In other words, people are being always like, how do I want that power? I want that punch of power. They throw it and like, right? There's several aspects to look at that. If you hit, that's all great, as long as you hit, right? You hit him, and then he's out cold or whatever, that's perfect. If you miss, man, I'm sure those pants are on tight. All right, because remember, a couple things happen when you you extend the amount of power that you put into the technique. If you go like this and throw as hard as you want, right? No control. And that means not only in the sense no control that if you miss, you're toast on the next one. In other words, you invest 100%, you're toast if you don't connect. But at the same time, the power of the fist itself can only if the body can support it, you won't hurt yourself. You won't hurt yourself. But if you put more power into a technique that cannot support, you'll hurt yourself automatically. Right? I mean, someone's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wind up. Like, let's say Robert winds up like this. He's really gonna wind up. Look at his structure. He's like this. And then you're gonna be like, oh man, powerful punch. Right? Powerful punch. Right? It looks really powerful. But let's say I don't do anything with Wing Chun, right? Really Wing Chun. Obviously I go here to attack his center. If I go, he throws his arm so much and I go like this area here. See, just this area here. He'll break his own shoulder from that point on. Can't support it. Can't support it. That's why everything that we do, can you in fact control the technique? Can you in fact support the technique? Okay? That's a very important aspect. People always, I understand everyone's like this in the beginning. Oh man, that hit, I gotta go for the hit, I gotta go for the hit, I gotta go for the hit, and stuff like that. Yes, I get it. I get that. But really, you look at the bigger picture, the control is what you want. I want to have the control. Make them move first. Okay? All right. We jumped a little bit off subject there, but that's perfectly fine. We want to go then into the aspect of, let's see, we did posture, we did power, we did position. Okay. So you have 20 single man techniques. Tan, Wu, Bong, Pak, Lat, Pak, Lan, whatever, 20 single man techniques. You look at it from the principle standpoint of basically a position, okay? The position to deal with it. Okay. So what does that mean? Let's use Robert here, for example. If he has Tanzao here, okay, this Tanzao in this position, and I punch him right here, perfectly in place, okay, to deal with that. Okay. Now, if I ask you, extend your arm further, but structurally correct, how would you do that? Extend it out further, show me exactly how you would extend it. Like I said, from this position, Tom, extend your arm as far as you can. Okay, looks okay, right? But let's look at it a little bit deeper. Let's go back to Tom. If he has his hand position in Tom's hand position, and every one of you right now watching the chat right now, you can actually do this too on your own. If you have Tom, right? Now keep it in Tom position and extend it out. Just about, let's say, an inch, inch and a half. Tell me, does that feel tense? Any tension change or anything like that at all? Or does it feel okay? Try it. Here, extend out. Feel tight? Mm-hmm. It's not significantly tight.
But you can notice a change.
But if you're aware of what you're doing, you'll notice a change. From this position here, where if I ask you to hold it for an hour, you hold this for an hour, right? If I ask you to extend it out here, I give you 5 minutes.
Even after 20 seconds, you start to feel built up.
Yeah, you start feeling, you'll feel a little tension there. Why is that? Because first, position-wise, we actually have to know how to structure the other two. So at this position, Tom, he extends it out further. What happens? It feels a little tight. What can you do to adjust that?
Change the angle.
Well, how do you change the angle? Yeah, if I'm in top, right? And now the point is not to keep my V shape here. I want you to extend your arm further. If I'm in top, now look, in order to hold my position up more relaxed, look how it changes. What position is this? Jump sound. Feel the difference. From Tanza, extend it out further. It's tight. You try to maintain that Tanza position. But I made the Tanza position and I extend it out, I switch to jump. You feel that?
Yeah.
Right away. See, that position deals with, you have to know how to hold your hand position by yourself. Right? You have to know how to hold your hand position by yourself. So if I tell you to extend your arm further, notice you extend it out this way to change the angle of it. Otherwise it stays tight. Okay? Now if I tell you, Tom, bring it back, does it feel tight? Maintain your time, try to bring it back. How do you adjust it then? Does it feel tight? Time, right? I am in Tanza position. I start extending it. Look at my hand change. Right? See, I'll exaggerate from here. My Tanza's here, right? I extend it out. Look at my hands changing. See, look how my hand's changing. Feels fully extended. See how I had to change it? If I go to Tanza position here and keep this hand position exactly the same and extend it, it's tight. But from here, look, I change it every single time to rotate. Feels fully relaxed. Same thing with here, my tongue. If I bring it back like this, it's tight. Look. See how I adjust it? See? You have to know by yourself first. That's why you practice all these hand techniques and so forth. Positionally, when you do 20 single hand technique, it's, yes, you develop a certain thing, covering the center, creating your shield, learning the hand flow technique, but you're also learning to deal with how to do, if your hand position is not in contact with anything and you deal with it tight at that particular time, you won't have natural reaction. So in other words, let's say, if he's here, right here, this position here, V shapes here, and I go like this, see his hand position, he can adjust to the force right away. Right? See how he adjusted and then he switched off to something? Because his position's okay. But if this hand position's out here, see his time's a little here and tight, if I go like this, he can't adjust it off. So imagine, think of it this way. How am I holding my shield when there's no contact? Is the first thing you have to think of in terms of position. Because I have to know how to hold this. Otherwise, if something comes into contact with it, frick, it's still gonna hit me. That means I can have my triangle like here. Looks like it's perfect, but if the tension's wrong, if the structure's wrong, if the force kicks in, it's just gonna collapse. Right? If I hold my shield right here, right against my body, boom, it just pushes into me here. Out here, no good. But if it's here, boom, I have a certain amount that's the right position for me to deal with. That's what you're dealing with every single time. So when you're dealing with hand techniques, in, out, and so forth, you have to make sure that when you deal with no contact at all, it's in the right position for you to absorb the force at that particular time. Otherwise, he's punching out there, and you're trying to block the Tanza all the way there, and it's not there. It won't work, right? And you see the transition from that? You're holding in, right? I hold Tan, Jump, Lan, right? You see? You see how you're switching it, view. You're switching all the angle from that point on. And then on the way back, same thing. If you have your two hands here, if you have your two hands here like this, you extend it out, you have to make the changes. You extend it in, you have to make the change. You're actually learning that within the form already. When you come in, your hand has to change in this position. When you come further out, your hand has to change so forth in this position and so forth. It's natural. Okay? So why is that so important? Because position in one aspect deals with different angles of the force, but also you have to learn, right? That if you can't win in one position, and we've talked a little bit about the Matsuk theory here, If he's pushing further into me with this punch, and I'm trying to cut in, right? I'm trying to cut in. I'm saying, I'm trying to cut in. Remember how we talked about it? The force comes against force in this situation. If an active force comes in with a passive situation, or with another active situation, it's not going to work. If Robert's actively engaging, I have to be passively engaging here. So from this position on, right? He punches towards me, and I'm trying to time into him. It won't work. But notice when he punches into me, this same position, I'm switching from this point to this point. He punches even more. See how I change? I've rotated from this position all the way to this position. But if I keep trying to, if he punches into me, I'm going, time. It looks like I can do that, but it uses a lot of muscle. But same thing, if he punches me here, you go further, boom, see? I rotate. Now, without making it too difficult for you to understand, when I do this, when I go from time, and then she's from jump stop position and so forth, I'm doing that totally passively. Okay? What does that mean? That means I control my own technique, but he creates my block. Okay? In other words, he punches towards me, right? He punches, and I'm not going like this. Oh, peace out. I remember that. Yeah, he punched toward me, aim to say peace out, aim to center. In the beginning, we all do that. Okay? But if I hold my technique right, my main thing is I hold my balloon correctly in place, aim at his center. When he starts punching toward me, I see it, I'm still aiming at his center. The more he punches, the more he's rotating my hand. He rotated my position to that. The entire time, right, I am passive to that position. In other words, the active within my passive is the right amount of tension to hold it. In other words, if I'm too passive, it's like this. I'm too passive, it's like this. It's too passive. Active within the passive. Okay, I have to have active, the balance. Active within the passive is he starts pushing, there's the right amount of tension. See? That's the right amount of tension that leads into everything. Let's see if Robert can do this. Yeah, you can do it. Right?
I mean, it feels like I'm rolling you into the next block.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Feel it the other way. You try to do it yourself. Yeah,
I feel like low there.
that's the difference. At that time, if you hold it properly, he's moving the technique. He's moving your arm. You're holding the gun steady. Oh, when your gun's steady, you can shoot whenever you want. If your gun's actively moving from that point on, you can't shoot whenever you want. Everyone understand that? I know visually hard to see in video, but understand that concept, right? He is moving my arm. I am controlling my arm just to aim at the center. So his force is dictating which technique I'm going to. Otherwise, I'm doing my own motion.
Independently
Of the force.
The force.
Yes. Independently of the force. So just that aspect, we've covered what, 3? We've covered the posture, we've covered the positioning, we've even dealt with the power. And yes, we've covered just the surface level of it. I just want you to look at it from this point on, just to be aware of it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Mike. I think you may have just touched on this when talking about exploding. But when adding intensity to a drill, say 20 single man, what needs to be done to compensate for the extra force that now is being exerted on your own structure? Is this balance out naturally, or do you have to add something consciously? Okay, that's a good question, Mike. I mean, you know, in the end, when you remember, be careful how to ask this. If you say, well, how are you doing this? Well, I automatically do this. That's an automatic reaction. Well, everything's automatic, so you got to learn how to break this down further so that you understand that. In the beginning, you're consciously thinking, okay, I have to do this and this and this. And that's the practice involved. Eventually, it comes to the state of being automatic, okay? Eventually, it comes to the state of automatic. So you got to do the balance of things. In other words, when I do something, I have to think, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this. But when the situation is upon you, you cannot think, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Impossible. Okay, impossible. Even just the slightest or single extension of a thought will slow down the mobility as far as moving naturally. It's done without thought. But for practice, you think first, okay, what should I do? Okay, I want to brace back. I want to brace back. Make sure your hand stays exactly in the center. Okay, and then boom, try to apply that. And if it sucks, it's practice. It's more. And you have to have that balance of doing things and thinking of things out. Okay, just do it is not the final answer. Okay, just do it is a part of it. You must do it, but you must also think of it, and then over again. Okay. Let's see. Okay, passive neutral cuts while attacking, dealing with partners attacking each other, also spiritually. Okay. All right. So one aspect we're talking about is having active, passive, and dealing with the cuts. Okay. So let's get a little closer here. See if I can do something. Okay. So when you do contact, right? We'll look at this from a single sticky hand drill only. When I'm in Tanza, okay, if the force is kicking in, okay, in other words, he's here, okay? If the force is kicking in and Robert's punching, what's happening? See how I switched to jump style? That means from this motion here, I'm rotating this motion here. That has to cut, okay? When I actively engage towards Robert, okay, let's say I put my tongues out here, I'm cutting this way, cutting down. I'm cutting down, exaggerate, so you can see, cutting down this way. When I cut down this way, I'm actively cutting to him. Because what I'm initiating the motion, so I'm actively cutting. When he punches towards me, I'm passively switching to jump sound, okay? Tan, jump. Active, passive. Between the trenching points, okay? Robert does the same thing, exactly, okay? I'll switch, he's in Tan down now. If he comes towards me, actively, in other words, he's cutting down, so you understand that. He actively cuts down, which way does the sound go? If I go this way, okay, sorry. If I go this way to the cut, okay, so imagine, here's my blade, I'm cutting this way, I'm going active. So here, I'll exaggerate so you can see, he's cutting down towards me, this way, yeah, right? And I go this way to cut, see, I'll slide up. So imagine, this is my fusa, okay? So he's into it this way, right? And then if he's cutting into this actively and I go actively with him, I'll slide off, okay? I'll slide off. So just like my fusa here, he cuts into me and I go like this. See how my palm, look at my palm. The palm's cutting this way, and so you can see that'll be the wrong way to cut, okay? Why? Active with active, well, good, because he's initiating. Active, I have to counter passive. He's cutting this way. Which way? Which way is my fusa turning? This way. Like, for example, towards my palm, doing it again. Right? This way. Okay? So in other words, he cuts, and notice my goal is just to aim at the center. I hold my technique. So when he cuts, see how my blade cuts with, see it turns with him? At that point, it turns with him. But if my blade goes like this, I'll slide off him. And notice, the point that I'm is exactly the same point. I'm not going like this. See how I'm retreating back? I'm not retreating that back. Don't misinterpret that. So this has to be from here. When he actively cuts, passively. See how my palm turns this way? I'll exaggerate it. Okay? Palm, boom, then I can jet. Okay? That's active and passive. Now for bomb style, I do bomb style. Okay, actually from here. When I do bomb, I should do it from here so you can see. When I do bomb style from here,
My food style, again, from here is cutting this way, right? That's active. I'm actively cutting into him. So when my food style actively cuts into him, his bong style passively cuts this way. See? In other words, he's here, blades this way. He's here, blades this way. Okay, so from here, my palm, you see my palm more. Okay? Feel. If I go like this, I actively cut. Here, actively cut. You see how his palm is turning? His palm will he'll turn this way more. When I go like that, passive. Okay? If he wants to go active, his angle changes this way. From here, passive. Okay, I'll exaggerate. And then from here, active, turning this way. Right? Now look, if I go towards him actively and he can hold it too, but there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension at that point. But if I go like this and then he holds it passively, less tension. Now look, the way I'm holding it is this way, cutting this way. So if he's like this right now, he actively cuts into me. I go like this, a lot of tension there, a lot of tension. So what happens? He actively cuts into me like this, see I passively cut. See how I change it? Automatically. So this position is here, right here, right? Cutting this way. He's actively cutting this way and this way. Okay? So in other words, I'm cutting this way, more force is coming in, I go opposite of it. I have to be passive off that point.
Blade comes in, blade goes out.
Yeah, every single time. And then, you know, in video-wise, it's hard to see, but tension can feel it right away. If I push towards him like this, see, passive. If he goes active with it, see, feels it automatically. And then even me, I felt that too. If he goes active and I go active, I'll feel a little rock too. See, by the time I go like this, I cut, he goes, but he goes active, see, I go passive too. See, nothing affects my stance, right? But if I go active, he goes passive. He goes active, I go active. See, even my stance will get off that way too. So that force of cuts or that change in cuts is constantly happening. You're turning things on and off, switching from active to passive, power, no power, every time. Otherwise, once you do that wrong, you get a clash, and you get that clash in place. Then all of a sudden, when that clash occurs, you're allowing him to counter you. You're allowing him to place weight on you. Okay, and when as soon as that happens, then you're in trouble. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay, 4 timings. Quick question, is everyone's internet okay? I got some response that the stream's a little jittery right now. Take a minute here. Anything you want to cover, Austin?
No, it's kind of going off of whatever.
Okay. Tell me if it's A-okay. Okay, everything's okay? Good. It's probably Robert. He's probably on my Wi-Fi on Pornhub or something. All right. Okay, so what aspects have we covered? We've covered power, we've covered posture, we've covered positioning, and let's go a little bit aspects of timing. Okay, a little bit of timing. Now, timing, difficult subject. The best way to look at timing is my timing, his timing. Okay, my timing, his timing, back and forth. Okay, if first your opponent's timing. Okay. Okay, your opponent's timing has a time, right? There's regular timing, create timing, break timing, delayed timing. That's all the stuff that he does. Okay? That's all the stuff that Robert does. Regular, create, break, double, or delayed timing. Okay? Think of it that way. That's all his. What I do
is my timing is functions of how to deal with what he does. Okay, so best way to picture it is regular timing, create timing, break timing, double delay timing. I am the person, and how am I dealing with the door at different particular times. Okay. What I do is my functions. Okay, the functions. In other words, I can take over timing, I can slip timing, I can follow through with timing, and I have enhanced function. Okay, those are all the functions within it. So there's the four. Okay, and I'm reading this over again because this is a total scan. He's the door, I'm the person. Whatever the door does, my function, I deal with the door at that particular instance. Okay? So for example, regular, create, break, double delay. Okay? Double delay is the same thing. He's referred to as one. That's all the shit he basically does. Me, on the other hand, whatever, this is not my counter to that or my function or reply to that. Right? I can take over, I can slip, I can follow through, enhance. Okay? So now let's look at it from a different aspect so you can understand it a little bit better. Okay. So, what is regular timing? Okay, regular timing. Let's say Robert does a punch. Regular. Boom. That's a punch. What's regular timing? Reset again. Punch one more. Boom. Okay. What is regular timing? Regular timing is the beginning of a sentence to the very end of the period. One after. That is regular timing. So in other words, he's not doing anything right now. He's just standing there. So start doing a punch slowly. He's starting to move, right? He's already starting to do his move. He's executing his move. And then boom, he finishes it and fully relaxed. One timing, one motion, one aspect in time. From the very beginning of the sentence to the very end of a period. That's all he did. That is regular timing. You must understand this aspect first in order to get everything else. Okay? That means I'm here standing and I just take a step. That from beginning to end, that's one moment in time. Sing it. One moment in time.
Keep singing, I think it'll.
I was strong too. Alright, so that's regular timing, okay? So from beginning to the end, from the start when you open your mouth to the very till you finally finish what you want to. Okay? So that's regular timing. Okay? So he does a punch, beginning, regular timing. Now, he's not doing anything right now. He's just standing. Okay? Now he does a punch. Boom. Create timing. You're like, wait, isn't that the same thing? Well, in a sense, yes and no. Because he's not doing anything. All of a sudden, he created a motion. Okay? Let's say he stops right here. He does another motion. Okay? But in between one step to another is a regular timing. Okay? So he's not doing anything, no motion involved. He stops, create timing. He just created it out of nothing. Okay? So in other words, if we're all of a sudden we stop right here, nothing's happening, then he lost. He just created that. And nothing happened. We're totally standing still right here. We already finished this motion. New motion? Oh, he created that. Okay? Break timing. Break timing means what? An interruption into his normal motion. So he punches. Boom. Regular timing. He punches again. You can say he created that from nothing. He punches. I broke it. In other words, the full completion, one motion to another, I interrupted it somehow. Okay? Asking, okay? And all of a sudden you interrupted, you broke it midway through the sentence, okay? Now double delay time is two motions involved in one particular beat. Okay? Or actually I should say, two motions that are involved. So in other words, he punches, I break his timing, okay? Right here, when I broke his timing, there's a guy, boom, right? Two motions. One, break timing, broke his motion, happened involved. Motion stops right here. He starts moving again, he created the motion from that point on. Two timings, right? In different ways to jump up. Break, right? So it can be create, break, or break, create. So like here, he punches, I break. He punches again, I break again. So you can have multiple combinations of timings happening, okay? So those are the aspects of what's happening. Regular timing, point A could be one motion involved. Create, nothing's happening, move. All of a sudden move, I create something. Break, all of a sudden move, you stop me halfway or at some point, I'm doing my full motion, that's create. Double or delayed timing, two motions, two timings involved. Okay, nothing's happening, I create a timing. All of a sudden, I create a timing, you stop it, you break my timing, two motions involved. Okay? Now, let's look into the aspect of the function. Okay. So,
Can I say that real quick?
Yeah.
So the double delay timing, that's a combination, any combination of either create or break.
Yeah.
Because regular timing
regular
exists
timing is
all
just
of them.
everything,
Yeah.
everything. You have to understand what that is.
So the double delayed is basically any combination between break and create.
Yeah.
Break, create,
Break,
or break, create, vice versa.
Good question. Okay, so now, that's what he's doing. What am I doing? I take, okay? So for example, look at his aspect. He's not doing anything. He's gonna create a motion. Okay? He's gonna start to wind up the punch. He starts to wind up the punch, boom, I hit him. I take over his timing. Okay? Now, what does that mean? At the beginning, when he's about to do something, right, is when takeover function happens, right? Like the starting point, the wind-up stage. He's gonna wind up, right there. He starts showing me motion, I hit him just there, okay? That's takeover function, right? You can look at it differently. It doesn't have to necessarily be he's not doing anything. All of a sudden, let's say he punches, right? And I block, pop, right? Now already there's motion involved in there. He's about to wind up to punch, bam! I hit him there. I take over his next motion that's happening. Okay? So it's at the early stages of when things are happening. Right? The baby steps, the wind-up stage is when I'm going to take over his motion. The next stage is the slip-through stage. Okay? Slip-through stage is, okay, he starts doing a motion. Boom, I break. Right? I break the motion, right? And then from this motion flows, I slip through. So in other words, he punches, I slip right through. My motion, not only, this is mid-execution, in other words, full, he's like, this is the maximum power where he can execute something, okay? I block his motion, and from his block, then all of a sudden I slip through to my next attack. Okay, so that's the middle stage, my function in the middle stage of that, right? So remember, when he starts to move, bam, I take over, he's just starting to build up the power, right? He's starting to build up the power, build power, bam, I hit him right there. Here, he's already executed, bam, and then I go through slip through. I break his motion, right, in between his motion, and then I slip through to my attack, okay? It's in the middle stage where the power is the greatest that I'm doing slip through. Follow through function. Okay. When I same motion, right? I block him here. Now look, he's already here. He's about to see how his hands are relaxing. He relaxes here, boom, then I hit him there. Towards the latter stage. But notice his motion did not finish yet. Okay, so in other words, you're looking at it, it's like, that looks exactly the same as slip through. No, the timing. Slip through is in the middle stage. Follow through is at the very end when the motion is about to relax. In other words, at this point when I punch him right here, if I pock him right here, his motion stops and he can throw another punch, too late. If he can already do his next or execute his next motion, you are already too late to apply the follow through. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't block it. I'm just saying within that stage frame of beginning to end, you're too late. Okay, so if he punches, boom, and he's about to relax, then I can hit. And that's all one motion. So in other words, if it's like this, see, I'm within there. See, he can't punch it. But if I go like this, yeah, see, he can punch. Okay? So takeover, early stage. Why? His power is building up. Slip through, maximum power stage, right in the middle. And then follow through, end stage. He's about to relax to go to his next motion. That's when I'm applying all the techniques, slip through, takeover, slip through, and follow through motion. Okay? As far as enhances involved, every technique involves two hands. You have to be able to balance this off to get the timing done. So for example, if I go, I'll do the punch, okay? I do punch and you do pop, right? And then you grab and lock. Yeah, like that, okay? Try. You go like this. Yeah, try to get the timing. Yeah. Good, try that. Good. Good, see how he's flowing through? Now, pop, one hand. Hard to get the timing. See? See, no way you can get the timing on that. You need the balance. Remember, POC doesn't function by itself. POC functions because it's as a triangle and because the other side is doing its job. Okay? So enhanced function, hands timing. It's the two hands balancing each other off at the same time in order for you to be able to do that. Okay?
Can you clarify again how break actually works, like from my perspective? So you're saying regular timing is just a motion, right? Regular motion,
Yeah.
from start to finish. But then create timing is creating something from nothing.
Yeah.
Here, I create,
You create.
right? But then break, like how do I?
No, because, okay, let's say you punch. I'm like this.
Yeah.
Okay. I go like this. What are you doing now? What are you doing?
I'm interrupting the motion.
What are you doing?
Okay. What is my function?
What are you doing? Okay, so you punch towards me. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I punch like this. What are you doing next?
Well, you're creating,
Yeah.
right? So here,
Yeah, what are you doing there?
I'm breaking the time.
What's your function?
My function is take slip through.
Okay. And then slip through. Yeah. You switch it, right? You reverse it. When you start something, let's say you initiate the punch.
Okay.
You create that motion.
Right.
Okay? When I do it, right? I'm trying to slip through your motion, right? I'm trying to slip through your motion.
Right.
When I do this motion from here, what am I doing? I'm creating this. When I create this, what are you doing? You have a function. You look at me as the door now.
Okay.
I'm the door
All right.
to you,
Okay.
and you're the door to me. It's reverse. So when I say you're doing regular timing and break timing, well, when I start doing it, I'm doing regular timing and break timing. To you, you're doing the function,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. No.
You're the door. I'm the person.
Right.
I start moving. I'm the door. You're the person. In reverse, you have to look at the opposite.
So it's not like it's one person does the timing, the other person is executes the function of the timing.
Yeah,
It's actually
Yeah, we're reverse of each other. See, it's like a bizarre world, right? In my other universe, I'm really thin. Why can't I be thin too? Or in the other universe, he's still a dick. I see some messages that's kind of glitching in and out. Remember, if you're having problems viewing it, you can still view it later on and through the full screen. Okay, so that gives you a little idea of the timing involved. And yes, remember, you see how Robert phrased it? That's a common occurrence. You gotta think of that way. First, he's the door, I'm the person. Okay? I always have to think in that aspect. But when I start moving to him, from his aspect, I'm the door and he's the person. And it's happening at the same time. All right? It's happening at the same time. So don't confuse it. Where everything he's doing,
I'm only the door.
Yeah. To me, he's break timing, create timing, regular timing. For me, to you, I'm break timing, regular timing, create timing. When you start moving, you're takeover, slip through, follow through. When I start moving, I'm takeover, slip through, follow through. Okay? Do not mix that up. And if you do not worry, because I did that too at the beginning. It's like, oh, he keeps saying the same thing. What the hell is he saying? It's just confusing because you're like, wait, then all of a sudden you think,
Do you understand the words?
You know what happens? Eventually she's like, oh shit, he's the door. I'm the door. And then you understand, oh wait, oh, he's the door. And I'm the person walking through the door, then vice versa. I'm the door and he's the person. And then you understand that because in the beginning it's like, door, what? You start mixing it in and out. Okay? That's very common.
The roles are basically constantly revolving.
Yes.
Based off of
Everything I'm doing, I'm the door.
The motion.
You're the function. Everything you're doing, I'm the function, you're the door. Constantly. Don't misinterpret what's one doing the other.
Okay.
And then you're looking at it from an aspect of a single motion in time. Beginning to the end of the period. In relationship to that point in time. It doesn't, if you miss it within this timing, this segment of timing, that's okay. Because then you have this next segment of timing. And then this next segment of timing. Right? So within this, from this wind up, execution, recoil stage, end stage, you can put takeover, slip through, follow through within that time frame. But if you actually look at it a little deeper, within this motion connects the other one within that time frame of takeover, slip through, and follow through. Okay? It's not necessarily one gap here. They kind of overlap. You know, interconnect each other.
Right.
Okay? All right, I think we have time. We've covered four aspects of the principles. Last one, we're going to go over distance. So, what is distance? What is distance? Distance first. Okay, let's look at it from a more beginner level to do it. First, distance first is knowing exactly how we did it earlier with Robert. That's distance. Okay, distance and actually position combined, because you have to know how to hold your triangle in place at one particular stage. See, everything within here functions within my triangle. I get everything to work within my triangle. Then once you know the distance of your own triangle, distance in relationship to your opponent is what you need to know next. Okay? Because distance in relationship to your opponent is if he pop punches me, right? Pop punch. And then all of a sudden I go pop. Like, see, look, looks good, right? No power. Like distance, I have no idea. No power. I can hit him here. I can't, I feel that it's my job to make him meet God. So here at this level is different. But that's my karma if I do that, okay? So you have to understand what you're developing every single time. Okay, the distance, one, see if I have my distance like this, I don't know my distance for myself. Look how far stretched out I am. When he does that, it's hard for me to execute anything. So one, I have to know the distance of this to make this function properly. When he punches me, see, I know my distance from here. And when I know my distance from myself, I know my distance to my target. See, I still have the V shape, and then the hit target for me to apply it. That's why when we do Wing Chun, I tell you, you don't want to apply, you don't want, every technique that we do in Wing Chun, right? I never, in the beginning, yes, you have to go slow, you have to learn how to control it. The reason people ask me, well, how come you don't spar? First of all, any debates on sparring, I sparred a ton back in the day. I tell you, sparring is great if you're doing tournament, okay? I know everyone has their thoughts on it as well, but tournament fighting is great. But I can tell you right now, you watch you street fighting, tournament fighting, the timing, when they charge in, you charge in, okay? I don't want to develop, if you're into tournament fighting, that's perfectly fine. But me personally, I don't want to develop anything to delay my aggression, okay? Delay my aggression. When you see someone, they're all of a sudden they train fighting, all of a sudden they're going to cover up, right? No one covers up. When you try to fight, you just go in, okay? So from this point on, right? The distance, right? I have to know the distance to hold my triangle. My distance is wrong too. He punches me like this. My distance here is 2 collapse. See, my distance in my own house is wrong. My distance. So what happens if I get caught in this position? I go boom, pop punch. I get down here. What should I do here? Okay. How about structurally? Structurally, my position.
If you collapse, if this collapses.
If I just use my body, okay, I'm like this, pinned down here. Okay, I'm pinned down like this. Yeah, I should use my body, but look, you still have control because my hands pinned down like this, right? I have control here. But see, structurally, my position is weak. Right? I have to change the position. See, my position here.
So you change the point.
It's structure too.
Okay.
Because
yeah, I mean you're from
structure, position, everything. Because here, my body, my elbow cannot no longer support this technique. But from here, my elbow can support the technique. I have to switch it reverse. So feel, if I just go like this, and then my body tries to control over here, a little harder for me to do. But if I'm here and I'm jammed in, and then from here, look, easier for me to control. Because here the structure is still behind me. My shield is still in front of me. I have to understand that aspect of it every single time to change it, to make it work for me. There's no, every situation, every point that you're in, there's always a counter for it. Okay, there's always a counter for it. Like I said, it's who can juggle the 5 balls of power, position, power, timing, timing and distance. Who can juggle that best? Okay. All right. Anyway, hopefully you've learned a lot about just these 5 physical principles. Eventually, we're going to go over the 7 mental, and also adjustment is the last one to complete 13. And I hope you really enjoyed this stream. I'm going to try to do these streams quarterly, so 4 times a year. I'm going to try to do it because we do cover quite a bit. And then in between all the other videos that we have going on at the Kirin Rise University, hopefully you guys have learned a lot. Hopefully you have some questions. Hopefully this has given you some ideas of stuff to go on. And anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you also, Robert, for coming by, because I'm sure Ryan's still asleep.
jet lag, man. It takes a while.
Jet lag, okay. Anyway, thank you again. Hope you enjoyed the class, and I'll be hearing from you and posting more videos. All right, thank you.